Hello and welcome to another edition of Talkin' Tunes. I am Frank Walsh. Thanks for tuning in today. Now folks, we have a very special show because I have three very special guests. And you just heard a taste of what's to come later on in the show. So it gives me great pleasure to welcome these terrific musicians. And again, Mr. Teddy Larkin, Mr. Wynter Pingle, and Miss Rachel Nameika. Thanks for coming on, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
I tell you,
Looking forward to this.
This is a special show because this is the first time that we've had music here since March 13th, 2019.
Wow.
COVID had knocked us out. We did a few shows by Zoom, but it's a pleasure to have you here to kick off the music part of the show.
We're psyched to be here.
Thank you all coming. So Teddy,
Yes.
this is your little group here. So
aren't
why
they
don't
beautiful?
you? Yeah, aren't they?
And talented too.
Yeah. So why don't you let the folks at home know a little bit about Teddy and talk about these two beautiful ladies who you have with you.
Yeah. I am basically for years and years in the Boston music scene was a drummer for some of the premier blues acts around town.
Such as?
The Rick Russell Band, the Racky Thomas Band, and for years, I'm still currently with the Hot Tamale Brass Band, which is a New Orleans second-line jazz band led by Mickey Bones, a great drummer.
Yep.
And I've been really fortunate over the years since I did a couple of years at Berklee School of Music, College of Music. But my years from 82 to 98 when I moved to Nashville, I've been able to work with Susan Tedeschi and two of the greatest, I think, blues band leaders in Boston, three I should say, is Rick Russell, Racky Thomas, and of course Mickey Bones.
All friends of ours.
Great people.
Yeah, they've been on the show. Ricky's been on the show, and I've had Racky on some video on the show here.
Oh,
so
great. Yeah,
you
he's
keep some
phenomenal.
good company, my friend.
They were all really inspiring, and really fortunate that I got to work with them as long as I did.
Cool. And you're still playing now, right?
Oh, yeah.
You got this little trio here. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, in 1998, I made some decisions in my personal life, and I decided to put down the bottle and the drugs, and I got clean and sober. And I was listening to a couple albums that had come out, Lucinda Williams and Steve Earle. And it kind of got me thinking, so after a year of being sober, I moved down to Nashville and really focused on my songwriting because that's always been a passion of mine. And inspired by, they call it Americana, but hints of blues and the old country style. Yeah.
Well, we're going to come back to that in a little bit and talk more about that. So Wynter, let's talk a little bit about you. Kind of roll back the clock a little bit and talk about your music career and what you play and the evolution of Wynter Pingle.
Well, I guess right now I play fiddle and concertina and mostly Irish music in and around Boston area. I grew up in the Midwest. I grew up in Wisconsin.
Nice.
So I came out and I started music lessons very early. Violin, classical violin, and then I moved on to piano, and then I came out to Boston to go to Berklee College. And I liked it a lot, and I stayed. And once I fell in love with the Irish music, just a great circle of people took me in and kind of took me under their wing and supported me learning all of that, and I loved it, and I decided to stay out here and make it go.
Good for you. Now, are you still playing around? You still hit some of the spots?
Yeah. I have another Irish kind of traditional Irish band that I'm in called Connacht, and we play around in the area most weekends. We're around.
Like Rattlesom's places, where would you play?
So usually Friday nights we play at Nappertandy's in Norwood.
Sure.
Sundays we're at the Red Rooster in Rentham.
Nice.
And some Saturday nights we're at the Chieftain in Plainville and the Sea Point in Boston, South Boston.
Nice.
You're going somewhere too, right? On a little trip.
Going to Ireland in September.
Good for you to play.
Yep.
Good for you.
Yep.
Good for you. Well, we're going to come back to that too. Rachel, your turn. Fill the folks in a little bit about you.
Well, I'm a music lover,
Yeah?
and I've been playing the guitar all my life.
All your life, that's probably what, 16,
Well-
17 years? You know, you're still in high school, aren't you? Or-
Sure I am. That's right. Since at least, probably 10 or so.
Good for you.
Lessons off and on and things like that. And I've kind of went away from it for a little while, had my career teaching and things like that. And have always come back to it because I just love it. And I love, music. It's just
Now,
my
have you played
passion.
with bands, or do you play solo?
Actually,
or-
this is my first band that
Really?
I've ever really been in, and I've
Nice.
kind of always played solo. So this is really exciting for me. This is it's just kind of reinforcing my love for
Nice.
music.
Now,
and
you would hit the
singing.
the open mics, and you'd
Yeah,
play
I
at
would do.
different
I would
places
definitely
like
do
that?
open mics. I've done like maybe duos and things like that over the years, and open mics and stuff like that. So this is my first actual band. So
Nice.
it's really exciting for me.
Did you ever play the Catbird down in Weymouth?
I have not. No,
No?
I have not.
Yeah, they used to
No.
play that. One of the guys from Orpheus runs it down there,
Wow, that's
and it used to be on Saturdays, and great jam with some great musicians down
okay.
there, and a lot of people like yourself. They're not part of a band.
Right.
They'll go out and play a little acoustic here, a little acoustic there, but it's a great venue. Now with COVID, it kind of put a damper on things, but
Sure.
keep your eye open for the Catbird.
I will.
Cool. So Teddy, how did this little trio come together? I know there's a little bit of an interesting story. You know?
Oh, wow.
Keep in mind this is a family show.
Yes. Getting is actually Rachel. We've
Yes.
known each other for about 4 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I found her somewhere just floating through the internet. She came up, and she's an amazing photographer. And I've got to know via the internet her passion for some of the same music I have a passion for. Ricky Lee Jones, I
Yes.
think we initially started talking about.
Sure.
And I thought she was
So
kind of
many
an
others.
attractive lady, And so we were communicating via text and so on for about 2 years, I think, before we finally met.
Yeah.
And sometimes when I go on a first date, I bring my guitar just for something to hold on
Yeah.
to. And
We both
she brought her guitar
Right.
that she had told me about, her mother's Mama Yama.
My mom is
Yamaha.
Yes.
Nice.
And we met and we started playing music. And as soon as we started singing, I kind of realized that this was going to be more of a musical thing than a relationship thing. And then when she finally saw me in person, she absolutely thought
Yeah.
it would just be a music
It
thing.
was like magic.
Now, did you start off in the Americana vein? I know that you played
Yeah.
with the Americana, because I know Racky's all over the place.
He's doing
but-
that now.
But he
I
has that.
saw his
well,
most recent show,
and,
yeah.
Let me jump in. Wynter, do you know Ilana Katz?
No.
You must know Ilana.
Yeah.
She plays with Racky, and she plays American fiddle. She plays
On
fiddle.
the street, too. so-
She's really good, and she's a street busker.
Okay.
And she busks down in the Red Line, and
Oh.
if there's a corner, she's busking.
Yeah, I love
You
her
know?
style.
Love that.
She's
Love it.
phenomenal. She's
Yeah.
such a sweetheart. She's been on here a few times.
Oh, cool.
And she'll be on again. I think she has a new CD that's going to be coming out
Nice.
relatively soon.
Nice.
But so that's Rachel. How'd you meet up with Wynter and get this little trio together here?
Well, one thing I wanted to say is
Oh, go
that
ahead.
throughout the COVID, Rachel would come over
Yep.
once or twice a week, and we started learning these songs. A lot of songs that I've written, and some kind of traditional songs that we know and love. And you were my best friend during that whole COVID.
Yeah.
And,
Nice.
Yeah, it was a real
it
partnership.
was really cool. It was a growing experience for both of us. And
Nice.
Then when I realized that, I was still, for some reason, Wynter came floating through. And I saw her long brown hair, and she was holding her concertina. And
I think there's a song right there, isn't there?
Oh, for
Long
sure.
brown hair
Long brown
holding a
hair.
concertina. I mean, there's a
Yeah.
song in there
It's
somewhere.
happening.
And so we started conversations and so on and so forth, and I started playing my songs for her, and she just jumped in with the fiddle, and it was perfect.
So it was kind of an easy melange. Everything
Really,
kind of
truly.
came together, and,
Yeah.
and it was just magic from the beginning.
Truly.
Yeah, and this word keeps popping up when we're rehearsing with all of our gadgets is Mickey rigged.
Right.
And so we kind of like that this whole project has kind of been Mickey rigged.
And that's what you
Right.
call it now, right?
Yeah.
Mickey Rig. Now, you guys planning on playing out?
Yeah,
You
we'll
know,
be
you have
playing
some gigs
actually.
going on?
Yeah, we have a cool show coming up on the 16th in Brookline Village.
Sure.
Place
My old
called
stomping ground.
Yeah. I used to play the Tam O'Shanter there years ago.
I grew up in Mission Hill in my college and high school college years, so I could walk over there and hit all those places over there.
Yeah, I'm sure we ran into each other
We
several
probably
times
did,
over the years.
but I saw you first and ducked. That's why we never
Mickey
met.
Bones once said, back in my drinking days, Mickey Bones once said, "There's one thing worse than a headache, and that's a Ted-ache."
Oh,
Yeah.
I like that.
Hopefully I didn't give you one over the years.
There's a T-shirt in there.
Yeah.
Headache.
But we have a show, it's called the
the village.
Village Social Club.
Village Social Club.
Nice.
It's a speakeasy underneath a restaurant, but it's a real music
Right on Brookline
room.
Ave, or
Yes, it's
Right, yeah.
right in the village, Brooklyn Village.
sure, I know where you are.
And it's a real music room. They call it a speakeasy.
Nice.
But that will be our first real show. Well, we did one last summer, but this one I'm really looking forward to. 8 to 10 at the Village Social Club.
Nice. Now, when you guys got together and started playing music, how did you decide on songs? I'm always interested in the creative process of how you pick songs and how you kind of collaborate and say, hey, let's do this song, or hey, let's do that song, or hey, let's write this song. Talk about that collaboration and how all that works together.
I think that we tend to like the same music, so we'll throw a song out there. We'll say, "Oh, I love this song," and we're always like, "Oh, me too." We've got to throw this on the list, and then we get to our list. So we work on those ones for a while, and then someone throws another one on the list, and we get to that one, and then we get to that one, and we just love the same music. So
Yeah, that's made it really easy.
yeah,
And
because we just love it.
I knew that my songs that I write
You're right.
Yeah.
needed these two
Right.
to complement them.
And we love his
Well,
music too.
his music is wonderful, and so I just want to be the support behind
for that wonderful music. Yeah.
Really, it could stand on its own, but
Well, I've seen a couple of your videos that you sent me, and they're really nicely produced. Did you produce those videos? Did you you didn't do the photography or
I
anything
wish
of
I
it?
had. I didn't know
This
him
was
then.
before you guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
didn't
some of the
know
black
him.
and white ones where you were on the porch,
Yeah,
and it has that little bit of a country twang to it.
Yeah.
It's got that little country western kind
Yeah,
of.
it starts off with me
country-
watching The Big Valley, and the
Yeah.
song's called "Poor Man's Dream."
Right,
about
right.
Rich girls that ride horses, and the Big Valley came up, and what's her name, Audra, on The Big Valley. There's a line in the song referring to that TV show I
Cool.
used to watch as a kid. But
Cool. Now, as far as the artist from which you draw your music, who are some of the artists and some of the covers that you do? Who are the bands or performers whom you draw from?
I was fortunate to grow up with two older brothers and two older sisters, and so I was born in 1964. I like to say the year of the Beatles, but that would be the starting point. Would be the Beatles and Bob Dylan, and then later on I would get into. My parents were into jazz and blues, so they were bringing me into a lot of the jazz clubs as a kid, and. So I was fortunate, and then I had another brother that was really into Hank Williams and Johnny Cash.
Cool.
So I had the whole bulk, there's a saying about there's two kinds of music, good music and zippity-doo-dah.
I haven't heard that one.
Yeah, I think that was Townes Van Zandt that said that.
Cool. Now, Wynter, you strike me as maybe a 70s or an 80s child.
I was an 80s
You're
child.
an 80s child.
Yes.
What kind of music did you first get into? I know that you played the violin. You said you played the piano a little bit. Where did you cut your teeth in the music world? What were you listening to, and who were your influences?
Oh gosh, so I guess in my really formative years, my teenage years, I was listening to commercial country, just straight commercial, what
Okay.
was on the radio at that time.
Still turned out good.
And
You still brought her in, huh?
but I got one of my first real influences, which is funny because I don't play that kind of music at all and have never been able to get the hang of it. But so I had played violin until I was 9, and then I begged my mother to let me quit so I could play piano, and so she did. And when I was 15, I heard Alison Krauss for the first time. And I thought, wait a second,
Yeah.
the violin can do this?
Yeah.
And so I picked it up again, but I never quite got there.
Well, it's hard to catch up with Alison Krauss.
Right.
She was with Union Station at that
Yeah.
time,
Yes.
right? She came up with
Yes.
Union Station, and then
She was just
now
a
she's
kid,
with
and she was amazing.
she's with Led Zeppelin boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
You
incredible.
know, kind of took a curveball. What about some of the other violinists? You don't see too many popular violinists. The ones that come to mind were like I like Jean-Luc Ponty, Regina Carter. You know, who would play your blues and your jazz.
Vassar Clemens.
You know, Vassar Clemens. I mean, who were did you sway away from any of that, or were you more into the classical side?
I got out of the classical pretty quickly, and then I feel like the Irish music found me and chose me. And that's really the main thing that I do. And so this is a little bit out of my element. I'm trying to kind of catch up as I go and trying to find things to listen to that can help me sound authentic in this type of music.
Nice.
Because I'm really the Irish is really where I've been for a long time.
And you know I'm sorry to
Go ahead.
interrupt.
No, go
is
ahead.
The Irish music and traditional bluegrass, there's such a thin line between
Yes.
the two.
Yes.
And I like the fact that she was diving into the Irish music because I hear it sometimes in my own songs.
I'm going to throw a name out at you, see if you know. Are you familiar with a guy named Arnold Gaffney?
Yes, I sure am.
You know Arnie?
Yeah.
I sure do.
Arnie's a good friend of mine.
Is he really?
Arnie's a good friend of mine. Arnie and his psychic mystic, Laura Joseph.
Yes.
What a small world. Yeah.
He's
yeah.
great. He's great.
Have you played with Arnie? Because
yeah.
were you ever over at Players by any chance for his birthday parties?
No.
I didn't make it this year, but the last couple of years
Good
he
time.
has right around St. Patrick's Day, and he does a big Irish fest over there at Players in Rockland.
Oh.
But yeah, so that's interesting. You know, Arnie.
Yep.
I'll have
Great
to say,
singer. Great singer.
He can sing and he can play a little bit too.
Yep.
You know.
Yep, he can.
He finally cleaned himself up, though. If you're watching this, Arnie, I'm sorry. But he finally cleaned himself up. You know, it was funny about right in the middle of COVID. My wife and I, we go to a lot of yard sales and things. We were driving through Quincy, and all of a sudden we saw a yard sale sign. Car automatically, we have automatic GPS takes us to wherever yard sales are. So we pulled in and we walk, and there were two people standing there, and we're looking around, and all of a sudden my wife said to me, she says, "I think that's Arnie and Laura." And I look over and I said, "Nah." I said, "No, it's not them." Sure enough, I looked at Arnie. He looked like, mountain man with the long hair, the beard, the whole bit.
yeah.
But I saw him recently, clean shaven. But anyway, I'll have to say hi to Arnie for you.
Absolutely. I haven't seen him in actually quite a few years now.
Yeah, he's doing well. He's doing well
good. That's
in
great.
the electrical union, and he's doing really well. What about you? What about your taste, your influences? If I
gosh.
went out and looked in your CD case in your car, what would I find in
I
there?
still had one. Really eclectic, but I'd have to say growing up, my parents were playing a lot of Beatles and I was listening to it. I mean, I was
So you
really
were late
listening.
60s, 70s? You're probably a 70s baby?
I'm a 70s, yeah, I'm a
Yep.
70s.
Yeah.
So a lot of Beatles, a lot of Simon and Garfunkel, lots of Simon and Garfunkel.
Sure.
And I was into it. I mean, really, I wasn't just playing. I wasn't just playing and not really listening to the music. I was listening to the music,
Yeah.
So, what else? Of course, Ricky Lee Jones, huge influence for me. Sean Colvin, big influence. Love Sean Colvin.
Steady on.
Alison Krauss. Anything folky, but also I love Motown, and I love, Etta James, and I love jazz. I love almost anything that is music.
Yeah.
But
Cool.
those are my early influences and roots that it's always with you. I believe your early roots are just, they never go away, and they're always
Exactly.
there. Never go away.
Yeah. Now, have you, as your music evolves, is it just the three of you who play, or do you have somebody else maybe accompanying you every once in a
In
while?
fact, we were going to have Scotty Shetler.
Scotty Shetler, sure.
And we screwed up our plans with that, but yes, I will be, depending on the performance, adding one other member to the unit.
Nice.
Yeah.
Any recording in your future?
Yes, definitely, positively. Yeah.
You got that lined up, or is that to be announced?
It to be announced.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good for you. Good for you.
Looking forward to getting on.
Well, I think that this is a good time to take a little break, and instead of maybe talking about your music, I think we're going to hear a little bit of it, okay?
Fun. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Mr. Teddy Larkin, Miss Wynter Pingle, and Miss Rachel Nameika.
Nothing rhymes with Massachusetts, so I moved to Tennessee. Find me a song in an old guitar, Southern hospitality. And hey, hey, I've got a song and it won't take long before I'm singing my song to you. Sounds of the city and the music city ringing true in my ears. Love and loss, it tortures me, and I'm holding back my tears. And hey, hey, I've got a song and it won't take long before I'm singing my song to you. It's a song I hold in my heart, and it's rattling my bones. It's country blues, it's Delta blues, it's all of your blues. So sing it with me, Mr. Jones. Nothing rhymes with Massachusetts, so I moved to Tennessee. Heard Davis Rains in a country bar, his words inspired me. Hey, hey, I've got a song and it won't take long before I'm singing my song to you. And hey, hey, I've got a song and it won't take long before I'm singing my song to you. Was that rolling? I don't know.
Were you rolling, Dave? Were you rolling?
Cool.
Whenever you're ready.
Yeah, now this one's got a little bit of an introduction to it. Tell me when you're ready.
Which one?
Hazel Eyes.
Hazel Eyes, okay.
Now this song was one of the first songs I wrote in Nashville, and the woman I moved to Nashville with had just left me. And everybody in the songwriting community was saying, Teddy, you know, you got to write a song now. And I had this little lick on the guitar that I kind of liked, and I came up with this song, and it's called Hazel Eyes. And I called that ex-girlfriend, who would end up one day being the mother of my child, but she was living in Spain, and I called her in Spain to play her the song that I had finally written about our breakup. And I'm like, you know, the only difference is, you know, the song's called Hazel Eyes, and I know your eyes aren't hazel. And she said, Teddy, my eyes are hazel. So that kind of explains why she was in Spain, you know, and not in Nashville with me. But I love the song, and actually at one time it was #1 on the Americana charts in Denmark, believe it or not. So they like me in Denmark. song called Hazel Eyes. I'm in love with her hazel eyes. They turn green whenever she cries, and she's crying tonight. 'Cause I heard her. She knows I hate long goodbyes. Done that before and after so many tries, you start to realize that it's over. Yes, it's over. I remember when I first saw those hazel eyes. They were watching me from afar. It was one of those nights, a lonely room lit by neon lights, and two strangers listen while I play guitar. What I always do. I got something to say, I'm gonna sing it to you. Hazel eyes, don't be blue. Hazel eyes, this song's for you. She closed the bar and took me home. I guess she didn't wanna be alone, so we held each other for 6 years. The lease ran out, and so did our love. As long as there are stars up above, she will always be on my mind. We'll get together again sometime. I remember when I first saw those hazel eyes. They were watching me from afar. It was one of those nights, a lonely room lit by neon lights, and two strangers listen while I play guitar. It's what I always do. I got something to say, I'm gonna sing it to you. Sing it to you. Hazel eyes, don't be blue. Hazel eyes, this song's for you. Hazel eyes, don't be blue. Hazel eyes, this song Time for 2 more?
Whatever you want. Let it rip.
Good, let's go.
I tell you, he's right about you and your tone on that violin. You sound
Gorgeous.
fantastic.
Oh,
You know,
thank you.
both of you sound fantastic. Too bad you didn't have a better singer.
Honestly, she could just follow along with me, and if somebody will good
But it is,
grab her.
You not only can hear it, I mean, you can feel the song.
Yeah.
You really put the feeling into the song. It really comes out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Seriously.
Beautiful.
Tell me when we're rolling.
I take it. I'll put it out there. We did get a Facebook friend. You're on Facebook, I assume?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll get a Facebook friend.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Facebook?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
We'll get friends and I'll
Okay.
share everything with you.
yeah,
Excellent.
thank you.
And this is all going on YouTube, by the way.
Okay.
The whole show.
Awesome.
Quick little story with before this song.
Go
What is
for it.
this one?
Okay, so there's a place in Nashville, Tennessee called Brown's Diner. And it's one of those places, you know, the thing about Nashville is that it's got everything a big city should have, but it always feels like a small town. And that's what makes it so great in the songwriting community. So I was going to Brown's Diner to hear this great country singer from the 70s, Joe Sun. My favorite voice in Nashville, rest in peace, Joe. But he was performing on a Monday night at Brown's Diner, and I was there to hire him on his break. I wanted to see if he would fly to Boston and perform in Medfield at my wedding. And I was marrying that woman with the hazel eyes. Anyhow, so while I'm sitting there listening to his set, there's a drunken, middle-aged man sitting to my left heckling him. "You think you're horrible, Joe, get off the stage." And Joe said, "Why don't you get up here and teach everybody how to sing?" And then the guy staggered out of the bar. And I said to the bartender, I said, "Who is that son of a gun to my right?" And he goes, "That was Roger Cook. You know, he wrote Long Cool Woman in a Black Dress and I'd Like to Teach the World to Sing." And as it turns out, the two of them were buddies and he was heckling him. But great, that's just what I loved about Nashville. And years later, I started performing this song called Chardonnay that I fell in love with. I heard by a version from a woman named Kiris Matthews from Wales. And I started playing it and did some research on the song, and wouldn't you know, Roger Cook wrote this song, but he liked to drink too, and it's a beautiful song about alcohol and love. Chardonnay, Chardonnay, how I love you, Chardonnay, when I reach to hold you in my trembling hands. In my hands, my trembling hands. Chardonnay, Chardonnay, you'll be glad to hear me say, I will never need you more than I do now. In my hands, my trembling hands. When I'm sad, sad and blue, you are my friend, constant and true. I dedicate this night to you, and I would like to take you home with me. Chardonnay, Chardonnay, you don't have a lot to say, but your silence has a welcome touch tonight. In my hands, my trembling hands. Chardonnay, Chardonnay, I'm in love with your bouquet. You're so beautiful, but you're so cold tonight. In my hands, my trembling hands. When when I'm sad, sad and blue. You're my friend, constant and true. I dedicate this night to you, and I would like to take you home with me tonight. Na 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 na. In my hands, my trembling hand.
Nicely done. Keep rolling if you want.
Two shies away. Up one more notch.
One more.
You got one more?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Can we do Great Divide? I mean, not that. No one. What's the one we all do together?
That?
After that one, the Grateful Dead one.
I think this is the one. This is the last one.
Oh.
Okay. Let's do
do
this
the
one
Grateful
because it's
Dead one.
original.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Shies away. 2, 3, 4. Well, the windy city blows through her hair. She's walking down the street. There's a girl that I've been hoping to meet. And I smile at her, she looks the other way. And I love the way that she shies away from me. The windy city blows through her hair. She's walking down the street. There's a cool breeze and she's turning on the heat. The sight of her brings sunshine to my day. And I love the way she shies away from me. All right. She does it all the time. Will she ever be mine? And I'm toying with a fantasy. I hope it becomes a reality today. You gotta have a dream if you wanna be free. If it don't come true, you know it will be okay. And I love the way she shies away from me. Alright. She does it all the time. Will she ever be mine? Well, who does she love at the end of the day? Is there someone in her heart? Does she dream of him when the room gets dark? I say goodnight, but she's got nothing to say. And it scares me when she shies away. It scares me when she shies away. It scares me when she shies away from me. does it all the time. Will she ever be mine?
Wow. That was pretty darn good. Pretty darn good. I told you that you were in for a treat, folks. Now, you know, for the sake of time, we should probably start winding down a little bit, but is there anything else that we haven't covered that we should cover, or anything that you want anybody to know about your group or your music or plans? Or
I think this is at the early stages, but I think just literally in this last year, we've really grown into having our own sound. I want to compliment Wynter. I've played with some great fiddle players in Boston over the years with the Boogaloo Swamis.
Wow.
And there's a handful of really good fiddle players in town, but they're the ones getting all the gigs, you know. And we did our show in July, and this DJ does a folk show, came out. He's also a bass player, phenomenal bass player. But he came out to the show, and he only knew me as a drummer. He didn't know my songwriting, the songwriting side of my story. But he heard her, and he literally said it was and he's worked with all these fiddle players in Boston, and said she has the greatest tone of any fiddle player he's ever heard.
nice.
And
Nice.
coming from him, that was just really cool, and that's what I think I fell in love with. Besides her beautifulness, is her tone.
Right.
It's beautiful.
Let me jump in one question I wanted to ask you a little bit earlier, but I'll ask you now. You know, you are unsighted, and how easy or difficult was that, and is that for you as a musician to get out and perform music and do what you do? How much, you know, the pros and cons of that, if you don't mind?
Well, there's certainly logistics to, for example, getting to and from gigs can be
A challenge, yeah.
Can be a little bit of a challenge sometimes, and setting things up can be, you know, I kind of just leave it to everyone else to
Yeah,
do
you have
that.
an assistant,
I'm like
I'm
the
assuming?
queen that sits back and lets everybody. But then, you know, I suppose the playing part of it is I feel pretty much like I'm on par with everyone else. I will say that when I'm playing in particularly gigs in bars and pubs, with the Irish music that I do, I love to play. That's what I live for. So I'll be in the zone and I'll just be playing. And
Nice.
there's so much that's going on around
Right.
me that, you know, someone could be getting up and doing some kind of really silly dancing,
right.
or someone could be throwing something at, you know.
Right.
And I have to wait for kind of the replay from
Right.
my bandmates, but
Right.
because I love the playing, I'm in the zone, I play, and they can tell me about the nonsense later.
Now, they say when you lose one of your senses, all the other ones magnify to compensate for that a little bit. Where is that with you? Is like your hearing more acute, or, you know, your senses more acute?
So that's a good question that I don't really have an answer to, because I have a condition called retinopathy of prematurity. So I never had sight that I never had sight, and so you know and not only that, but I don't know what anybody else's hearing is like, or anybody else. So I don't know if mine would be any more acute. I certainly do, as you say, I certainly do pay more attention to the input, the feedback from those other senses, because that's
You have to.
that's what I have.
Now, you may not be able to see with your eyes, but can you see in your mind? Can you create pictures in your mind, and do you see things that in your mind?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just curious.
One thing I got to tell you, which amazed, this is the first time I've worked with a fellow musician that's blind, and with me working on new songs, it was always my head
Right,
movement to
right.
get them to
Creating the
follow
rhythm,
along,
right.
or when we stop, or when we go, and and so I'm really learning something new myself. And when I go to pick her up at the, I don't know what's proper, what's not proper. Am I being, not a good companion or whatever? But what amazes me is she's an amazing cook.
Really?
And she bakes bread, and she knows her way around her kitchen like you wouldn't believe.
Awesome.
And it's awesome.
My
to see.
other passion.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That's one of my passions too. We'll have to have a
Have you done the pandemic sourdough?
No, I can bake a little bit. I'm not a bread baker, but I can do cakes and all that other kind of stuff. But good for you. Good for you. Now, Rachel, anything you want to say or to add before we kind of wrap this up a little bit?
I don't think so. Just,
No? Okay.
No, that this
Anybody you want to thank or say hello to?
I'd like to thank my bandmates right here, actually, for
Thank you, Rachel.
just being a part of a team together. It's
Cool.
It's a real joy.
Well, great.
It's a real joy.
Ted, do you have a website or any place that if people wanted to get a hold of
You
you?
can find me
or-
on right now. You can find me on Facebook, Teddy Larkin. Come by and say hello. And I just want to say hello to my amazing son, 15-year-old boy, Robbie Larkin. Goes to Somerville High School, and he's going to his first formal dance Friday night. And good luck, son. And I love you.
Well, folks, I'm sure that after watching this show that you'll start following these guys and let them know again where you're going to be playing.
Yes,
the gig you have coming up.
Village Social Club in Brookline Village, June 16th, Thursday night, 8 to 10. Come out and check it out.
We'll definitely try to do that. Well, folks, I want to thank you very much for tuning in today. I hope that you've enjoyed the show.
Thank you for having us, Frank.
You're welcome. I wouldn't be able to do this without the great staff here at SMAC. Dave Young, Rob Rotella, Anya, the director, and it is a pleasure to be back in studio. I miss working with all these guys. I missed having guests in front of me other than Zoom. Special hello in the studio here. We have Cheryl Flaherty in the studio today providing some support. And folks, I have to say, as I always do, these folks are here playing for you. So get out and support your local musicians. You can see a lot of these people in different places. A lot of times it'll cost you nothing to get in, or you go in and have a beer and a pizza and enjoy some great music like you've heard today. So get out and support your local musicians. And guys, I want to thank you.
Thank you.
Teddy,
Again.
Wynter, Rachel, thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for coming on. And I hope that maybe sometime, you get a CD out or you want to do some promotion, you guys will come back and do it again.
You are one cool guy, and I'm really glad I met you, Frank.
Thank you very much.
Thank
you
you.
very much. I appreciate that. So folks, thanks again. As always, tune in and tune on.